Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed Lee. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful, wonderful, historical neighborhood of Reedville, located in the shadow of the Great Blue Hills in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so very honored and absolutely delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Audible, Castbox, Player FM, Boomplay, Ghana, wherever you find your favorite shows. We have two wonderful guests for you today. First up, Richard Reiman. He'll be here to celebrate the day the clouds went away and also talk to us about an exciting audiobook project that makes books more accessible for kids who are deaf and blind. We'll also be speaking to Barbara Thompson. She's here to celebrate Have You Seen My Sock? This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by 28 Days of Neon by Mayra Rosenberg. 12-year-old Neon Blue Green is queen of the cafeteria, co-captain of the cheerleading squad, and has the most amazing dog any 7th grader could ask for. Her only complaint in life is that her parents named her after the color of a sports energy drink. Until the morning, she overhears them whispering and learns that she has only 28 days left to live. Neon needs a miracle, but how can she get one in only 28 days? Then it hits her. She'll do one good deed every day. This is a fascinating middle grade novel that you and your kids are going to love to read or co-read together. Get your copy today, 28 Days of Neon by Mayra Rosenberg. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by the books by Charmaine Perry Knights. Charmaine is a TEDx speaker, award-winning facilitator, world traveler, and author. Serving military families through quality literature is her goal and her passion. Her books are absolutely amazing. They are just full of great messages. Books like I'll Find My Way, and That's Okay. I Move a Lot, and That's Okay. And It's Cool to Be Kind. Such great books that you and your kids will absolutely adore. These books deserve to be in your family library. Get them today. The books by Charmaine Perry Knights. They're available today at Amazon. This episode is brought to you by Feliz Navidad. It's December of 2019, and Pittsburgh is covered in a terrible fog. Even worse, all of the reindeer get sick and they can't fly. Everyone in the North Pole is worried they'll have to cancel Christmas. But just when all hope seems lost, Santa's pet, Feliz Navidad, raises his paw to help. And while a dog is not quite a reindeer, Feliz is their last chance to save Christmas. This is a book about perseverance and grit. Feliz Navidad, the story of how Santa's dog saved Christmas. Get your copy today. Feliz Navidad by Ari and Rhea Helper. Join us right now from Denver in the great state of Colorado. Our guest is here today to celebrate his new book. It's called The Day the Clouds Went Away, and we're also going to be talking about making books accessible for everyone. Please welcome to the show, Richard Reiman. Hey, Rich, how are you?
Hey, Jed. Great to be here.
For those of you who can't see, which is all of you, Richard is here with his wizard hat. I met him just a couple of weeks ago at the Indie Author Summit out in Kansas City when he was in his full wizard regalia.
Yes.
And you looked fantastic.
Yes, I'm the Audiobook Wizard, having been a wizard voice in several audiobooks as well as a video game. So I became the Audiobook Wizard, producing audiobooks in all genres for authors, and now I focus on children's books.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. So tell us first about The Day the Clouds Went Away, please.
Okay, The Day the Clouds Went Away is unusual in one way. Less than 4% of children's illustrated books feature a person with a disability or even an animal with a disability as a main character. Well, in this book, Princess Claudia happens to be nearly blind, and she has a princessdom that she is in charge of. She has a bumbling wizard named Fumbledore, of course. The wizard has to be in there. And also a guide owl named Iris. And she wants to make all the clouds go away because she's afraid her 8th birthday party is going to be rained out. So Fumbledore makes the clouds go away, but because he's not a very good wizard, some of the clouds come back and tell Princess Claudia how important they are and how without clouds it's going to get very hot and dry and you know, so basically they have to deal with a forest fire. And she says, bring all the clouds back. And, you know, Fumbledore is, you know, Claudius, return us, and don't let it burn us. And basically the clouds come back, and at her 8th birthday party, the children all dance in the rain.
Wonderful. I love that. What inspired you to have Princess Claudia be blind?
Well, my passion in life these days is making children's illustrated books accessible to both blind and deaf children. I created a nonprofit, Imagination Storybooks, and we've done over 200 illustrated books. We add audio description of the pictures for blind children, so all the pictures are richly described, and we add ASL Sign Language to the videos for deaf children. There are very, very few audiobooks of children's illustrated books out there. So blind children often have to wait until they are old enough for chapter books to listen to audiobooks. So this is something that we've opened up. The Library of Congress, National Center for the Blind, has purchased 100 of our books already to make sure that blind children have free access to them. And our videos are free through the Described and Captioned Media program at dcmp.org, which is funded by the Department of Education and run by the National Association of the Deaf. So I've been doing these videos for a few years now in audiobooks, and I finally decided to write my own book. And that's, and of course, you know, having a character who's mainly blind, nearly blind, like 80% of blind children are not totally blind. And myself, I am losing my own eyesight. I have glaucoma. It's progressing. And bottom line is I've had 4 eye surgeries already. I have what I call bionic eyes. They replace the lenses in my eyes with lenses that have little stents where it lowers the pressure in my eyes. So, and I used to be a guide for blind skiers earlier in my life, and also a volunteer at Learning Ally reading books for the blind. So that's how, you know, I got involved in the disabled community.
Wow. What inspired your passion to help folks with these challenges?
Well, as I said, you know, even when I was a guide for blind skiers, and they knew I was an audiobook narrator, they said, you know, gee, the picture books, you know, there are so few being made into Braille because Braille books are extremely expensive. Is there any way you can record children's illustrated books and describe the pictures? And I thought, well, if we combined audio description, which is growing in movies and TV shows and live plays and performances, if we combine rich audio description of the pictures and have a co-narrator narrate that part of things, that this would make it not only accessible to blind children, but to all children, because now you've got an illustrated audiobook that makes sense because all the pictures are described.
Yes. I've, being here on the podcast, I've been exposed to many, many books. And of course, every once in a while, we'll be checking out the Amazon page for a certain book, and it'll be a picture book. And it's like, would you like to buy this picture book in audio form? And I'm like, I don't know. No, I don't know why I would do that.
Yeah, it's it really doesn't make sense without the pictures. So that's really what I try to add. And if you allow me to share, I can play a little sample of an audiobook with audio description. Okay, so this book is about a child with sensory processing disorder, and it's called Alexander the Avoider.
On the cover, in a room with a small tent pitched on a blue carpet, a boy lies inside on his tummy with headphones and a tablet, listening to music. Colorful musical notes fly in the air around him. The walls of his room are black and painted with white stars and planets. The title is Alexander the Avoider, a sensory processing disorder story by Nicole Philippone.
Alexander was a little boy with a big spirit and an even bigger heart. He loved his mommy, daddy, and sisters very much, and he made sure to tell them all the time.
Alexander lays on his daddy's back on a couch and hugs him around the neck.
Alexander especially loved giving hugs and kisses, but not always receiving them. Sometimes he would get really anxious and push people away, even his mommy and daddy.
So as you can see, it adds a whole new dimension to an audiobook by describing all these pictures richly, and it becomes almost a different experience.
It absolutely does. I mean, I was right there, roped in. I was waiting after the description of the cover. I was waiting for the page to turn to see the illustration, but I realized really quickly I didn't need it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the magic of simply adding audio description. And we have professional AD writers who do audio description for Netflix, HBO, the major networks, and they work with us. They love doing these children's books because they have the gift of time. When they audio describe for a movie, they have to fit it in between the dialogue. So it's also, you can't really describe things very richly. And this makes it a whole different experience.
Yeah. My wife accidentally turned on the audio description on a movie that she was watching one time. Mm-hmm. And I was in the other room and I'm listening. I'm like, what in the world is what's that other voice there?
I know. It's and people are now watching TV with captions all the time. Who don't have any disability at all, but they just like to understand the dialogue with a British accent or something. It's easier to follow. Well, it's the same with audio description. It's a different experience when your TV show, like The Good Doctor, for example, our audio editor is also a narrator, Tristan Snyder, totally blind since birth, but he does all the description for The Good Doctor, where he describes all the scenes in between the dialogue and tells people what's going on.
Wow, that's really is amazing. Richard, don't tell anybody this. I will oftentimes listen to a Spanish language show. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I'll specifically put the captions on so I can learn the bad words.
Yeah, that's another thing you can do with captions, but we don't do that in audio description.
Oh, no,
we keep it clean.
Of course. So when did this start happening?
Well, if I can go back a little bit, I've been a storyteller all my life. I mean, that's what I wanted to do. since my sister took me to the library when I was about 5 years old. And we walk up to this, it was a big, Roman column type of library. And I had to use both hands to open the door, because it's a big door. And I walk into this library, and there were thousands of books. And my sister said to me, and you can take 5 home, and they're free. And I was hooked. I fell in love with the library. I fell in love with books. I became a storyteller in the 2nd grade. I wrote stories, and I put my classmates' names in them and charged them a nickel to read it. So that I was a professional writer in 2nd grade and got my comic book money that way. And then, how else could I be a writer? Okay, I can be a reporter. So I got into radio news because people told me I had a nice voice, and was in radio news in Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., the RKO radio network. I was actually the Washington bureau chief for a while, got to travel with President Reagan around the world, had many adventures in radio news as both an anchor and a reporter. And then when radio news kind of faded away, when stations were no longer required to carry radio news or public affairs, 80% of the radio news jobs in America went away in 6 months. And it's what's like happening with AI now. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, I love reading. I'm comfortable in front of a microphone. I'll get into narrating audiobooks. So that's what I did. And that led me to narrating accessible audiobooks. We did Winnie the Pooh, and Winnie the Pooh, the accessible version, is the #1 selling audiobook version of the original Winnie the Pooh on Audible. We've made thousands of dollars in royalties from the accessible Winnie the Pooh. And we're working right now on the accessible Wizard of Oz, taking the original book and making that accessible. And I'm doing it with a twist. We have an all-blind and low-vision cast, including myself. Our Dorothy is Mia Loberti. She is the woman who starred in All the Light We Cannot See, the Netflix series based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning book. She's our Dorothy. We have the blind alien from Star Trek, the new Star Trek series, Strange New Worlds, who played Hemmer. He's our Scarecrow. We have 2 Broadway actors who happen to be blind, who are in this book. So we're producing the accessible audio and video versions of the original wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Wow. That must be such a fun project to be a part of.
It really is, because everybody is recording in different places at their homes and home studios, or we have an agreement with Edge Studios, which has recording studios in L.A., Chicago, New York. And they offer free for our voice actors to come in. Even we had an 8-year-old boy come in to be one of the Munchkins. And, it's a fun project. It's taken almost a year to get to this point, but we're working on it. We'll get it out there. And so that's really what has led me to be in this accessibility world.
Wow. That's really wonderful. I shared at the summit that back in 1989, I created a disabilities awareness video called Melt Down the Walls of Separate. And we wanted some representation. And and again, as I said, I was hired for this job to get these kids who had severe developmental and physical disabilities out into the community. And I know that the doctors and nurses who hired me, I'm pretty sure they hired me because they thought I would fail, because I didn't know what I was doing. It was new to me in this world. And I was really surprised, and pleasantly so, at how very few doors were shut on me when I would come and I would say, hey, I got these kids and they're between 8 and 18 years old, and none of them can talk, and some of them can walk a little bit with help. And, they're doing things that, maybe 2-year-olds or 3-year-olds could do, but once you give them a chance to develop friendships, no one said no.
That's great.
And that was way back before it was cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned, children with other differences. What we've discovered, too, is that with the videos we do, which have audio description and ASL sign language, that neurodivergent children can watch it because it shows one picture at a time. That picture is described. Then the next picture, that picture is described. And it's very easy for them to follow versus even an animated cartoon, which sometimes just goes way too fast for them to keep up with. So we've discovered that autistic children, dyslexic children, sensory processing disordered children, you name it, they all enjoy the videos. They connect with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's wonderful to see, as somebody who was doing this work before the Americans with Disability Act was passed, that we've come a long way. I don't think we've come far enough, though. What are
agree.
What are some of the things that are still, what are some of the roadblocks?
Well, okay. So what we're doing with the audiobooks is we are saying, okay, yes to the authors, you have to pay for it to be produced. But it's not just for blind children. When you build a ramp, just like when you build a wheelchair ramp, everybody can use it. All children can listen to these audiobooks. But the challenge is the major children's book publishers are not making their books accessible. And I've been lobbying very hard. I'm on the DEI committees for both the Audio Publishers Association and the Independent Book Publishers Association. So I've been lobbying from the inside for Scholastic, let's name names, Macmillan, HarperCollins, all the big children's book publishers to make their books into accessible audiobooks. And they, it's a challenge because they just don't think that they're going to make that much money from it, which is why The Wizard of Oz making thousands of dollars, and the Winnie the Pooh, making thousands of dollars. We're using that as a sample of, if you do this, yes, you can make money. It's not just the right thing to do. A friend of mine in the publishing industry said, children's book publishers, you're trying to appeal to their heart. You have to appeal to their pocketbook. So I'm working on that.
Tell me, because you brought up money. We were both at the Indie Authors Summit.
Mm-hmm.
An indie author that has a book, it's been published. How much would it cost for them to have their book become an accessible audiobook?
It's a $600 process because we are paying our voice actors, many of whom are blind. We're paying our blind audio editor. We're paying the audio description writer, the video editor. So, basically that's what it takes to produce a quality audio and video book. So that's the cost. What I like is that many children's book authors are now doing an accessible version to their Kickstarter or other crowdfunding efforts for their books. They just fold in that we're going to make it accessible in audio and video as part of their campaign, and that's how we're getting a lot of books to do.
I tell you, I'm really surprised because for a lot of authors, $600 to make the book accessible, an accessible audiobook, that's way down on the list of the costs that they're investing in.
We really try to keep it reasonable, and they get a copy of both the audio and the video book versions to use for their promoting their book. So that's something that we're producing about 2 books a week currently.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really fantastic. You mentioned that the big publishing houses aren't on board yet. What about libraries and school libraries and public libraries? Are they getting interested?
Yes. We distribute our audiobooks, our accessible audiobooks, through Dreamscape. We have a partnership with Dreamscape. That means that we're in wide distribution. We're available in all the library catalogs. We're available, basically in small bookstores that carry audiobooks. Libro FM is one of the audiobook providers. So it's listed everywhere, not just on Audible, but it's available, the audiobooks, in every place like Barnes & Noble Audio, you name it, 50 places that it's available in. And the videos are free. You can access them at dcmp.org, and a lot of teachers will go there, and you just have to register. And not only do they have almost 200 of our videos, accessible video books, they have a lot of other accessible videos there. And they have class ways where you can make audio clips or video clips for teachers. So, and libraries can access this and show it right from the site. So it's just a matter of awareness.
Yeah. Well, this is wonderful work that you're doing. What's next for you? I mean, is there the next step that we're going with accessible books?
Yes. I mean, the key is that we are going to find a major publisher to sign on board, and I'm pretty close to doing that. And that would be hundreds and hundreds more books to be made into accessible audio and video books. So that's the next step on accessibility. And then on my author journey, my next book is The Day the Bees Went Away. The bees get angry because Fumbledore waves his wizard at them and chases them away, and they say, okay, fine. And they leave the princessdom, and the flowers start to die. And so they have to go back to down the Yellow Bee Road to meet Queen Beatrice and convince her to bring the bees back to the princessdom. And then I'm following up after that with The Day the Ants Went Away. I'm thinking about spiders. Kids, I don't know if the adults will buy a book about spiders, but they actually do help us. They kill the mosquitoes and things like that. So, they're good for nature too. So I'm going to do this whole series of books.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how does it feel being a children's author now?
Oh, it is great. I am going out to school visits in full wizard garb, in my wizard voice, and the children will say things like, "You're not a real wizard." I said, "Well, how do you know that? Are you sure?" And basically, I read the story to them. And I am, in that case, I'm Fumbledore. I come as the wizard who's in my book. And the kids just love it. And I give away little wand pencils to all the children that I speak to. So I'm booking school visits. I have a visit to the Anchor Center for the Blind here in Denver this fall. To talk to kids there and also play the video that I've made, of course, of my own book, the accessible audio and video book versions. So yes, it's exciting to be an author. I've passed the 70-year-old mark now, and trying new things. And it's exciting to do that, and very rewarding because the response I get has been extremely positive to making these audio and video accessible books.
Oh, wonderful. Just in case anybody's curious out there, you mentioning that obviously these accessible books are great for kids with vision issues and challenges. You're saying that it helps kids that are on that are neurodivergent. Have you, in your school visits, have you ever had a kid who is quote unquote typical ever say, we don't need that description stuff. This is
Not a kid at a school visit, but it's interesting when I have put some of these accessible books up for audiobook awards. Some of the judges go, it like it repeats things sometimes, and they don't get it. They don't get the concept of that the pictures are being described. So it is, a challenge, but the kids get it. The kids, they get it.
Well, judges are like referees, they have their own.
Yeah.
We should tell everybody, first off, where should an author go if they are interested in having their books turned into accessible audiobooks?
Well, send me an email. That's the number one thing, richard@illustratedaudiobooks.com, or they can go to my website, which is theaudiobookwizard.com, and there's details about how to make your book accessible. All we need is a PDF of the book, and we take it from there. So that's at theaudiobookwizard.com.
Wonderful. And if people are interested in obtaining audiobooks that are accessible, where should they go?
They can go to any audiobook distributor. We have a promise from Audible that once we get to 100 audiobooks with audio description, they're going to make audio description a searchable item on Audible. So you could just put in audio description and the books will come up. Right now, you can put in audio description and get some of the books, but you should start with Winnie the Pooh, the accessible version. It's 2 hours, and we had some wonderful voice actors doing all the characters. Of course, I'm the narrator. Once upon a time, a long time ago, about last Friday, Winnie the Pooh was walking through the 100-acre wood. So I have, as you can tell, a lot of fun narrating these audiobooks.
Yeah. And any idea when the Wizard of Oz project will be completed?
We're trying to finish it by the end of the year. We are actually doing a crowdfunding effort to pay our editor through backerkit.com. So if you go to backerkit.com and search for Wizard of Oz, you'll be able to support our making the Wizard of Oz accessible. And we have a lot of gifts to give away, including copies of the original book, including copies, of course, of the accessible video book when it's done. And we also put children into the story itself. So we narrate a part of Wizard of Oz and add their children's names in it. So they have a personalized audiobook chapter from the Wizard of Oz. So that's a lot of fun, too.
That's really cool. Richard, I had so much fun talking to you. Please come back anytime to let us know what's going on.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And thank you, Jed, for having me on. And, reading with your kids is important to me. That's how I really got into audiobooks, was I was doing voices when I read children's books to my children. And so that's really how I ended up doing this, too. But it's extremely important. That's what I always say is, when we talk about the one last thing that you would tell parents, I say, read to your children.
Amen. Amen. We've had a great time speaking to the Audiobook Wizard and the author of The Day the Clouds Went Away. Our guest has been Richard Reiman. Richard, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Jed.
This episode is brought to you by OnceUponADance.com. Take storytelling to a whole new level. With Once Upon a Dance, your child will do more than just listen. They'll move, imagine, and connect. It's a literary adventure and a performance all in one. From graceful turns to energetic leaps, each story brings an immersive experience that engages both body and mind. Whether your child enjoys unicorns, bats, zombies, or cats, Once Upon a Dance has a Dance It Out story just for them. Celebrate joyful movement and visit OnceUponADance.com or find them at your favorite social media platform. This episode is brought to you by the Logan series. 3 wonderful books written by Christine Ritchie McNamee. Logan and the Missing Masterpiece, Logan and the Lost Luggage, Logan and the Missing Jewels. Logan and the Lost Luggage is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read, and all 3 of these books feature Logan, an adorable Cocker Spaniel who travels the world with his magic phone. You and your kids are going to love traveling around the world with Logan, meeting animals from all over the world, visiting different countries, and learning how to get along with people from other countries and other cultures. It's a beautiful series of books. Our Reading with Your Kids certified great read panel loved Logan and the Last Luggage. We know you're going to love all 3 books. Check it out today. The Logan series by Christine Ritchie McNamee. Are you looking for the perfect gift for a young reader? Woofy and the Dinosaur Dig Adventure, the second book in the Woofy series, is an exciting choice that fosters creativity, friendship, and teamwork. Join Woofy, a small gray stuffed dog, on his thrilling quest to help his friends excavate a T-Rex in the mountains. Young readers will enjoy his humorous adventures and admire his skills as a pup paleontologist, all set in a beautifully illustrated lyrical story. Authored by Helen Rogenson, retired award-winning teacher honored with the Presidential Award for Excellence in Math and Science Teaching. This book encourages lifelong learning while supporting charities for animal rescues and children in need. Don't miss out. Visit us at unpackyourownhappy.com and connect with us on Instagram at unpackyourownhappy. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back, written by Stephen Joseph and illustrated by Andy Case. In this 3rd installment of the Snoodles series, the Zoodles are determined to have their revenge. With the help of a grimy millionaire who's fallen on hard times, they intend to poison the Earth's water supply and turn everyone into willy-nillys and dilly-dallies. Can Brianna and Ricky save the Earth again? Will the outcast kids on the other side of the track rise to the challenge and help save the world? You can find out with Snoodles in Space, Episode 2, The Zoodles Strike Back. Join us right now from the great state of Georgia. Our guest is here today to celebrate not only her debut picture book, but also to celebrate the fact that her debut picture book, which is called Have You Seen My Sock?, is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Please welcome to the show, Barbara Thompson. Hey, Barbara, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to have you on, and I want to congratulate you for having your book named Certified Great Read. We've introduced the program 7 years ago, so we certainly have had a number of books achieve this, experience this achievement, but certainly not every book that applies earns the title of Certified Great Read. So you are in great, rare company.
Well, thank you so much. It's a great honor. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. So we want to encourage everybody to check out our full review at readingwithyourkids.com. Just click on our blog spot, and you can find that and all of our other certified great read reviews. In the meantime, can you tell us a little bit about Have You Seen My Sock?
Sure. It is a fun rhyming story, and it's about a boy named Mason that's searching for his favorite dinosaur sock. And he is asking his mom, he's asking help from his animal friends, and he's looking here and there, but he just can't find his sock. And he's determined, and he's not going to quit until he finds it. So at the end, he finally does get some help from Dad to help him find it.
That's good for Dad coming through, helping out.
That's right.
Yeah. As you were talking about that, I just had this flashback to when I was 5 or 6 or 7 years old and looking for something. I don't think it was a sock, but there was something that was missing in my room, and it was driving me crazy. And I know my people wanted to help me, but they say relax, and say a prayer to Saint Anthony or whatever advice it was. Where were you last? When did you last? When did you see it last? It's like, if I knew where I saw it last, I'd go and find it. But it was such a frustrating experience.
Yes, it can be frustrating when you lose things. Even, as adults, we're constantly losing things, our keys and phones, but we forge ahead and find things.
Absolutely. Well, as somebody who's almost 100 years old, I'm at the point right now when I lose something, I just say, it's going to pop up, but in the meantime, I'm going to find the other set of keys that I lost 6 months ago. So there's no worry. Something's, I've lost so many of these things. One of them's bound to pop up.
Yes, definitely so.
And we're celebrating just 15 minutes ago, Barbara. This is a news flash. All the Reading with Your Kids listeners out there, folks who follow me and my beautiful wife on social media know that we just came home from a wonderful trip, 2 weeks, and the nations of Scotland and Ireland and Northern Ireland. We had a wonderful time. But when we arrived back in Boston, our luggage decided to stay a little bit more in Europe. And but just 15 minutes ago, the bag showed up, and so we are happy. We found our bag.
That's wonderful. We've had the same problem before when we had a layover in Paris one time when we were going to Italy. And my husband, we were on a 12-day trip, and he basically was without his luggage until the day before we were ready to go home. And then, sure enough, he had to take his luggage home with him, even though he didn't have it the whole trip. So,
that's one thing for us to be able to sit back and with all of our experience and resources kind of sit back and go, okay, this stuff happens. But for a little kid, when you lose that dinosaur sock, boy, it can really be a tragedy.
It sure can.
Yeah. So what inspired this particular story? And also what inspired you to put it in and create a book around it?
Well, I was inspired by my grandson, Mason, to write the book. But honestly, the story began long before that. I was a single mom raising a daughter, and I found myself having to be determined to be the best I could to, be a good parent so I could set a good example. And I just learned to forge ahead and not give up at being a good parent.
Really good. Really, I love that. And that, at this point in your life, deciding to, so like one thing for us to decide to go to Italy or to go to Ireland, but it's a whole other thing when we sit down, we decide, I'm going to write a children's book and I'm going to self-publish it. And, we're talking a huge commitment of time and money and energy.
Yes, definitely. It was a huge commitment. And it was almost like, having a full-time job, but, going to college all over again. That's what it was almost like, So I was burning the candle at both ends, but, it was, it was definitely, it was a huge success for me, because it was something that I had dreamed of always doing ever since I was a child. And I'm glad that I accomplished it.
That's wonderful. Were there any bumps in the road? Were there any moments when you were burning the candle at both ends and learning this new skill and actually starting a small business, which is what we're doing every time we write a children's book? Was there anything that made you think, oh, I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna be like Mason and give up looking for the sock?
There were times where, I would get so frustrated, but, I just realized that this was something that was important for me to accomplish. And so, there were times that, I wanted to give up, but I knew that, when I finally would complete it, that I would be, it would be a huge accomplishment for me.
Sure. Yeah. And what was it like, the feeling when you first were able to put your hands on the physical copy of your book and open up the pages and actually it's here. I did it. It really exists.
It was almost like a child opening up their favorite Christmas present. That, it was like, wow, I can't believe it. This is something I did, so it was, it was amazing. It really was.
Yeah. And you said that your grandchild inspired you to write this book. What was his reaction when he was able to see, wow, my grandmother's an author?
He was very excited because I tried to have similar illustrations where it looked like him, and it looked like his mom, and it looked like his dad. So he was just really excited that, I had written this book for him and that the characters were, very similar to, what he experiences in life. So.
And he's excited that kids all around the world are going to learn about him and read his story?
Yes, he is. When, his mom has purchased several books for him to give his birthday presents, and he's so excited to show his friends that my Nana wrote this book about me. So he's just, he's very excited about it.
Yeah. One of the things you said in the note that you sent to me to prepare for this interview is that you're hoping to collaborate with a children's hospital to spread this book. Why would that be important for you?
Well, I have always been very passionate about, especially St. Jude Hospital, the hospital for, the cancer, children's. It's just been something that I have sponsored for, almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it would be so nice to, have these children get their hands on a copy of the book to where, it could, be something fun for them. They go through so much, and this would be some fun rhyming quest for them.
Yeah. One of the things I love to ask authors about their book is, what kind of conversations do you imagine families can have as they're reading Have You Seen My Sock together?
Well, I think it's something where, it's a book with repetition. So, they can repeat the different, have you seen my sock? Where's my sock? And, and then there's actually little, there's pages where it has the sock where, they can actually, it's like a seek and find where they can look for the different socks in the book. Mm-hmm. And, it's just, to me, it's just a little fun rhyming, quest for them, and it can also teach them that it's good to tidy up their room, because if they tidy up their room, they'll be able to find what they're looking for sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm imagining you're mentioning that the kids will actually be able to see a sock on some of the pages. I'm imagining, my daughter when she was 4 or 5 years old, screaming out, "Look, there's a sock is right in front of you. Just look behind the thing, and it's going to be right there."
Yes.
Yeah. What fun. I love it. Now that this book is out there and it's in the world, you're able to accomplish this. Are you sitting back and saying, great, I always wanted to do that. Now it's done. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Or are you excited to create some more children's books?
Well, actually, I am excited to create some more children's books. I have some that are somewhat on the back burner. I would like to actually have like a Have You Seen My series where, you've got where kids are looking for different things. So, and I think it would be, just fun for them to look at. And maybe the next time it might, express more, kindness or, or something else. But, I want them to be able to have fun with the books.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is a really great goal. Just helping kids fall in love with reading. Have you taken the time to sit back and to think that all that hard work and effort is going to result in families cuddling up together, reading your book together? Have you taken the time to think about that families all around are going to be reading Have You Seen My Sock together?
Well, I have thought about that because, I find that I have gone to several book readings and the kids are just, just entranced by the book. They're just really enjoying it. And I figure if it's something that they can enjoy me reading it to them, they would enjoy it even more if their parents were reading it to them.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Have You Seen My Sock and also find out more about you.
Okay. I have a website. It is HAYTHOM books.com.
Awesome. Very good. And the book is available on Amazon and all the usual places?
Yes, it is. It is available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and different retails.
Wonderful. And we also want to encourage everybody to go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on our blog and read our entire review of Have You Seen My Sock? Our certified great read panel loved it and gave it 5 stars. So check that out. We've had a great time speaking to the author of the debut picture book. It's called Have You Seen My Sock? It's a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Our guest has been the author, Barbara Thompson. Barbara, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. In the meantime, please connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram, and at Jedley Magic on Twitter. We'd also love it if you could check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids. You can find all of our Drawing With Your Kids and our STEM is Family Fun video on our YouTube channel. And if you are an author, you absolutely want to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button up at the top of the page to find out how you can be a guest here on the show. It's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all around the world about your great kids book. You can also learn about our effective and very affordable promotional services. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Richard Reiman. Please be sure to check out The Day the Clouds Went Away and Richard's project. Also want to thank Barbara Thompson. Please be sure to check out Have You Seen My Socks? I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Rayling Tang. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for being part of our beautiful Reading With Your Kids family. Thank you so much for listening to the show, but most of all, thank you so very much taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.